You heard my program Sunday night. You know, we make sure we coined it, underscored it. Shift happens. Okay? That's going to be a new bumper sticker. Shift happens. And this is going to be the shift. And this is Lightcode transmissions for quantum ascensions and the star grid continuum. And I want to bring our brother on with a warm round of appreciation and applause. Please give it up for Brother Reverend Phil Valentine.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say how honored I am to be allowed to address you, how delighted I am to see the response that you and a growing number of brothers and sisters across the country, and yes, even around the world, are actually giving your precious attention to my words. And yes, how truly sad I am that all that we've been saying for the past 20 or so years are now coming to pass. Today is an especially memorial day because we are about to discuss issues that you must take more seriously than you have ever before. If all that I have ever said to you in the past meant anything, then please take what I say today very seriously. This very moment. Beloved brothers and sisters, I take what I do very seriously. The things that I say when I am allowed to speak, I may sometimes make light of, especially a lot of the issues that are very serious. But there in no way does that make any of these issues less critical and less relevant. Before we continue, I would like to take this opportunity to thank a few very special people. First, I'd like to thank Brother Kevin Jackson, who, through all of the madness in trying to establish the gatherings of the masters and all of the energies around trying to get this child born, we have stayed in contact and has maintained a beautiful relationship, and prayerfully this will go on and begin to mature. I'd like to thank everyone else concerned with this event. I would like to thank Brother Wesley. I'd like to thank the Serious Times with Sister Delbra. I also want to reach out and give thanks to Queen Sister Nalani, Sister Renee Sprav, my beautiful children and my grandchild, that being Shamika, Amen, Kai, and Sahai. I'd like to thank again also Brother Nkosi Kumati, brother out of Florida, and his queen, Brother Fabrice and Sister Donna. And I'd like to thank Brother T.J. Johnson. Last but not least, for coming to the aid of my son, Amen, while he was in Texas. A truly heartfelt thanks to my beloved brother, Steve Mackey, and the 3 other soldiers who stood guard at the hospital where he was taken. Brother Chris, Brother Mjuzi, and for his natural cuisine, Brother Sunshine. Again, from the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank you all. Brothers and sisters, today we explore part 4 of my Lightcode series. The 4th of 7 parts, titled Quantum Ascension, and the title was a little more enhanced. It is Quantum Ascension, Mind Manipulation, Soul Control, and the Star Grid Continuum. Brothers and sisters, we are fast approaching the dying times. Let me say that again. We are fast approaching the dying times. The shift is on. Let me say that again. The shift is on. It is upon us. We are front row center for the end time spectacular. We stand at the threshold of a treacherous yet magnificent and momentous event in our consciousness continuum. The destruction of this present humanity that we see will be done by its own hand. And then there will follow mass destruction by the divine forces of the Earth Mother herself. At the present time, the erratic conditions we are all witnessing on the planet are not the result of natural processes. What we see are the responses of forces to the white man's wickedness, greed, and megalomania. It is what the work of evil genius truly looks like. This is why I consider a place such as this, a moment such as this, to be nothing short than a divine mission for us all gathered here today. If a place and moment such as this is desecrated, used for ego gratification, gossip, personal self-enrichment, we dishonor those warriors of truth and freedom who came before us. Beloved, the structures of slavery are in their final stages of consolidation, and their power is now about to be felt over the people. The agents of the construct, I no longer call it the matrix, because the matrix connotes a feminine principle, and I would not want that blood-sucking artifact to be at least selected in my mind and put together with the feminine principle. So I give it a neutered energy. I call it the construct, and I call those who manage the construct soul jackers, members of the beasthood. And they have played their ace card. They are coming out of the fascist closet, boots shining, flags waving, fancy speeches, colorful slogans, and genocidal agenda. What a magnificent time to be alive. But as all the light workers know, World War III has been waging for the last 54 years. In this phase of the Lightcode series, we will explore how the universe and our solar system are re-synchronizing, recalibrating, realigning, and repositioning themselves. We'll explore some of the new mind-manipulating technologies and weapons, the occult symbology of the beasthood and the construct, and the food-based vectors, food-based weapons, food-based vector weapons used to keep you in Lightcode lockdown. Hopefully before this day is through, I'll have been able to give you some crucial insight on how to break the lockdown spells conjured and weaved by the dark agenda agents, the regressives who work to maintain this lockdown. Also, we would like to have presented a star date time sequence punctuated by certain events that are already encoded within the Star Grid Manifest. Beloved, the 3x4 dimensional screen that presently acts as our medium upon which we project our perceptions of reality, this medium is disintegrating. This invisible, translucent membrane we breathe and taste, smell, hear, and touch with our perverted senses can no longer tolerate or sustain the present barrage of hostile, fearful, ego-modulated thought energies now being emanated by the majority of humanity. In this mentally polluted environment, people are experiencing intense disorientations with increasing regularity. Menstrual cycles are erratic. They're either disappearing, flooding out, or coming at totally unexpected times. People are feeling the need to sleep more. People are short-tempered. There's a feeling as if the place they occupy is like another planet or another reality. Migraines are becoming more and more frequent in younger and younger people. People are losing things. Memory is harder to recall. All of these symptoms are due to the shift. The reason for these and other such symptoms are because our present brain chemistries are programmed and calibrated to operate, listen carefully, to operate in the was. Let me say that again. The reason why you suffer the above symptoms is because our present brain chemistries are programmed and calibrated to function and operate in the was. In other words, all thought is memory. All memory is the result of past events. Thought, as it is now and how it operates in the brain, can only see itself as a past processing entity. Thought is trapped in the wake of time. Bye-bye. This is because the present brain structure and the genetics that molded it is in Lightcode lockdown and forcing its way through the barrier. And the code key to the chemical lock is to understand time. To understand time is to recognize the moment as the is. Brothers and sisters, it is time for you to get into the isness of being. The brain is stuck on doing, and it has neglected its being. The brain is presently programmed by our mutilated genetics and our molecular atomic cellular network. The brain is a quantum photonic electromagnetic transducer crystal that is presently trapped in a self-created, self-perpetuated concept of space and time. The brain is at time, in a time, and is functioning within a time analysis mechanism trapped in the was. Presently, it cannot analyze itself as the byproduct of a divine entity because its only references of itself is through the coded, manipulated experiences that we catalog in our chemical-filled memories as the was. People wonder why and how we're stuck in the place that we are. Why are we not moving forward spiritually? It's because we are trapped in a thought process that keeps us in the was. I ask anybody out there to give me a brand new thought never thought before. The lockdown is secure. Your thought is the lock. And you're functioning in the was. You're pacing inside of a cell, hoping that if you walk enough, you'll get out. The present brain chemistries of the human body keep replaying past experiences only, maintaining the semi-conscious entity as a what was entity, keeping the semi-conscious entity in a what was perceptual index. Metaphysically, the symptoms of intense headaches, memory loss, strokes, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, sudden deep muscular pains in the shoulder, back, and chest, all are physical points of reference where your thoughts are stuck in the was. Within this is, there is no conflict. Within the is, the galactic shift is a shift in reference to the is, not the was. That's why the beasthood wants you in the was. Without any consciousness thought residue. Inside the is, there is no consciousness residue from the was. Without any consciousness thought residue polluting our thought stream, the individual mind becomes somewhat traumatized, like an addict who needs a fix. I need my was. Your brain needs thoughts to digest in order to frame itself within a structured context or agreement that it wants to call reality. The brain needs thought to survive. In the shift to the is, thought will be raised. And after it is raised, it will be based on the soul's inner voice. In the is, the body will now chemically create cells that are structured from insperience, not experience. All human chemistry today is the result of experience. The present cellular structure has become somatogenic. The definition of somatogenic stated that we should look up the word psychogenic. Thus, by definition, somatogenic and psychogenic are virtually the same. Somatogenic means body-created cells that are not part of the germ cell structure. The germ cell structure is the pure structure. That's the structure that the sperm represents, the sperm and the egg. The sperm and the egg come together. That is the pure essence. That is the etheric essence from that which is the intelligence. Everything else around that is created based upon your experience and how you have cataloged that experience in your chemical memory. Your chemical memory creates you physically. It creates the cells based upon your external experience. So this is why the construct keeps you looking outside of yourself, keeps you looking for experiences outside, keep you drugged in the words. Because they dare not allow you to get within, to understand the experience, to understand what it is to be connected directly to that divine galactic intelligence that you always have been. Somatogenic means body created. Psychogenic means that which is created in trauma. Thus, present humanity are somatogenic/psychogenic creations, meaning that our present cellular chemistries are programmed within an environment saturated with fear, hatred, violence, jealousy, and greed. Your cells know nothing else. Now, with the appearance of the shift, these cells cannot survive because the brain has no residual reference point. No oversaturated thought stream laden with trauma and pain to support its present somatogenic programming. Thus, all of the previous symptoms are actually withdrawal pains, as our consciousness withdraws from the drug of the previous paradigm. Call it a psychospiritual withdrawal. When we make that transition, as the frequencies begin to shift, as you begin to vibrate on higher, your textures begin to become more refined. That which you carry, laden with you as a burden in the world, it's trying to eject itself. And it ejects itself where you have preoccupied yourself in your state of mind. Your state of mind tells you where that pain will be, because your thoughts create residuals in the organ that the thought references. So if you are angry with full of hate, your liver will show it and your eyes will go blind. And so, beloved brothers and sisters, our present conditions of health cannot be sustained in the new paradigm using old methods of cure and remedy. Old paradigm techniques like herbology, allopathic medicine, drugs, vitamins, all will cease to work as we get deeper into the shift. Let me repeat that. Old paradigm techniques like herbology, allopathic medicine and drugs, vitamins, all of these things are obsolete. The new paradigm healing modalities will be frequency alignment modalities. It will be administered through a science of light. You start taking all of these old remedies that were working back at the time when the earth had her power, when the earth structure was resonating on a specific frequency. It's not going to work. Back then it worked, because the magic was there. The magic is gone. There's a new magic. Magic of the mind. We don't need to use the lesser magic anymore. All future symptoms of systemic diseases in the body will be analyzed and shown to be caused by a genetically entrenched dissonant harmonic of stigmatized ego-based thought forms. All due to our preoccupation with lower frequency bands, which thought has been programmed and become addicted to. And so, interference with the flow of isness, which carries within it the organic light codes by which we may reconfigure our atoms, our molecules, our genes, and our DNA, has prevented the vast majority of present-day humanity from experiencing the full benefits of the shift. Now, before we investigate the many and diverse methods used by the beasthood to maintain our lockdown, what are some of the things to watch with reference to the star grid continuum. And I put this down simply because there are those amongst you intellectually inclined who want to know the technology of what is happening to our planet and where we are going. After that, we're going to take some time and start to break this thing down, diagram it piece by piece with the little time. Hopefully with the time that I do have left, I will cover everything that I had actually slated to do. The celestial neighborhood that we live in is truly becoming crowded. Brothers and sisters, constellations are codifiers, and their shape dictates their influence. The Great Bear, Alpha Draconis, Orion, the Big and Little Dippers, Lyra, all of these star grids are light portals projecting obsolete linear astrosophic geometries that have forced men to give homage, praise, and attention to the lower template energies of the heavens. This is for all the people studying astrology. Those constellations won't be within our reference point much longer. Let me say that again. The Great Bear, Alpha Draconis, Lyra, Orion, Sirius. All of these star grids are light portals projecting obsolete linear astrosophic geometries that have forced men to give homage, praise, and attention to the lower template energies of the heavens. These light stations surrounding us keep us locked down in what was consciousness. They govern the fallen chemistries of our present-day physical universe. At this very moment, our solar system is moving out of the 666 harmonic programming that binds our cellular agreement and keeps us trapped in a light code frequency distortion of ourselves. In fact, the last time these many star grid clusters appeared in the heavens was in the times of Atlantis and Lemuria, some 2 to 3 million years ago. This is why artifacts dated at over 1 million years, like the star map dated 4 to 6 million years ago that was found up in Russia, or the skull dated 7 million years, are all now suddenly surfacing. More evidence that this entire planet is actually the remnant of Atlantis. Let me say that again. Atlantis didn't sink in the ocean. This is Atlantis. This whole planet is a fragment of Atlantis. I don't care where they dig, they're going to find artifacts from Atlantis. People say it's in the Pacific. Other people say it's up north. Everybody's, yeah, because this whole planetary piece was Atlantis. This galactic synchronization is also locked into all the pyramid grids that are on all the planets within our galaxy. Those astrophysical pyramids on all the other planets surrounding us will act as focal points to energize ideas, which will enable our species to transcend to the next level of light-based technologies. At present, the human body has 12 meridians within its structure and 9 more without its structure. There are 12 meridians within our Earth, all of which are interconnected to the so-called 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 star stations, all connected to our new threshold of awareness. This human vehicle has 12 awareness meridians of light, all of which are connected to what we call the crystalline seed, or the first eye. All 36 meridians, all these 36 energies are interlaced to create an overtone that synchronizes us with higher star grid system programmings. In fact, by August 12th, 2003, the Jason Society is going to conduct a dimension blending experiment. Let me say that again. A dimension blending experiment, a top secret military operation that is like the Philadelphia experiment. The regressives of the construct want to use the appearance of certain star systems and alignments to create a rip in the space-time that will connect with space-time breaches made during the 1940s and the 1980s in the time travel experiments at Philadelphia, Montauk, and in New Jersey. This is a cloak device where large numbers of spaceships will be flown into underground bases. Some of you may be seeing them right now. They will cause a fleet to exist in 3 different time intervals. This fleet will exist in 3 different time intervals so that the technology of each fleet, they carry certain technologies in each fleet to be broadcasted through EM pulses, triangulating what is known as a frequency fence. The frequency fence is an umbrella of distorted energies that will surround our planet and lock down the souls unfortunate enough to be trapped within its influence. Out of the Earth's continental shifts, a huge land bridge will rise up out of the Pacific Ocean, and a huge land bridge will also rise out of the Atlantic by the equator. Our sun system and our solar system is hurtling towards new star grids in our galactic consciousness continuum. At the very tip of this thrust is an electromagnetic null zone. We will be picked up by the new grid like gravities, and our star system will be repositioned within a different vibrating dimension within our consciousness hologram. And this is all happening very rapidly, brothers and sisters. This is why astronomers and other scientists just cannot keep up with their discoveries of vast new planetary systems. How many people have been looking at the news and found out that the scientists are finding so many star systems, they have no names for them anymore. So what they do, they're giving them numbers. There's so many of them now, all you can do is number them. People don't believe me? Check it. Please put this light out up here. Just see what happens so they can see it. Zoom in on that. Planet tally soars near 100. Astronomers scramble to keep track. The planets are popping out all over. In fact, you're going to see about 2 or 3 of them between the next 10 years. And they're going to look like moons around us. Senior science editor with the International Astronomical Union may soon embark on an official cataloging effort. SpaceCom has learned. There's a symbolic 100th planet. There was a time when discoveries of extrasolar planets made big headlines. Now they are so common that they sometimes pass into public domain with little fanfare. So we are saying to you, brothers and sisters, that the time is here when this whole solar system is going to be shifted into a whole other place in the galaxy. The hologram that represents a billion galaxies has moved. The harmonic has shifted. Everything on the bottom is moving up, and us along with it. Beginning around 2012, our solar system will be slingshot off the edge of this electromagnetic null zone and into a different system of harmonics, which will require us to have 5th-dimensional bodies. This will signal a time when we will align our bodies with this particular movement, or we are all going to die. This is the time when our present molecular atomic structure is slated to participate in what I have called quantum ascension. It is the dying time, and that dying time will begin to feel as if the actual weight of our senses has become oversaturated. We will not be able to smell as keenly anymore. We will not be able to touch and feel. That's why some of our younger brothers and sisters are feeling apathetic about the situation. The old paradigm is not supporting where they belong. And we as adults are not creating the environment for them to survive. So they are creating or eking out an environment for themselves. And where are they going? Into virtual reality. The lower ego mind, over the past 2 to 3 millennia, has developed an exaggerated sense of dualistic perception. It has become locked down in a fourfold sensory perceptual matrix. Using only 4 sensory perceptions, extreme distinctions between the inner world and of our personality were perceived, and the realization of where the inside and the outside of things met was blocked from our conscious perception. Because of this frequency fence, the ego became cut off from conscious relationships with its personal morphogenetic field. Morphogenetic means the form-holding field. Everyone is within an egg right now, and within that egg you stand. And that egg keeps all of your programming as a human entity intact. That egg holds the chip, the cosmic chip that allows your cells to do what it does. It holds the programming from the higher consciousness reality, and you now take that energy and you rise with it as you refine that energy. Because of the frequency fence, the ego became isolated, separated from the world around it, and the worst of these symptoms were felt and experienced by the Caucasian race. This happened in another space-time programming, and we are experiencing this thing all over again. This frequency fence is being recreated and is being assisted through the application of other technologies managed by the soul jackers who maintain the code containment frequencies. These frequencies are managed in their daily operation by the National Reconnaissance Organization, the CIA, the NSA, and the ONR. They use satellite electronic surveillance protocols to keep the population in Lightcode lockdown. Now listen carefully, beloved brothers and sisters. People who can place themselves into a profound state of self-induced trance or altered states of consciousness do not respond to the subliminal programming of mind control protocols. Now I say self-induced. I don't mean by the chabo. A self-induced trance. How important is that? Because that's internal. Remember, all exercises for the new paradigm must originate internally, outward. Anything you do to try to do from outside in is just trying to perfect the physical. And you get caught up and hypnotized into what was the more you perfect the physical. Drugs, food additives, radio and TV frequencies, movie strobe frequencies, chemtrails, all were and still are the basis for such projects of mind control, all of which are fully operational today. For example, MK Delta was a sleep brainwave cycle which included the use of electronic protocols to support the MK Ultra drug protocols, in which Black Ops programs right now called Woodpecker, Buzzsaw, Videodrome, and Operation Holy See. That's the one where the Pope will announce that the Son of God has come back. And through hologram technologies, you will see Jesus sitting on a cloud. And every damn Christian is going to bow down their heads in loving worship. Profound states of altered consciousness, self-induced, can be attained through techniques of transcendental meditation, Zen meditation, Taoist golden flower meditation, Tai Chi, Tantra, Cobra breathing, pulse power breathing, yoga asana, lotus posture, even Dronvello Melchizedek's flower of life meditation may be applied. And Brother Warnick was talking about the breath. It is on the breath that is going to be where you synthesize the light codes, because it is in the breath that you gravitate or synthesize yourself to the planet. But now the breath has to get you off because you've overstayed your welcome. When these techniques are used correctly, they will help you to block the external subliminal program of frequencies. But even these may be not enough against the electronic mind control intrusion technologies that are used, scalar wave technologies. Now, to perceive the shift waves, there are a vital pieces of information that must be understood. Know that the brain has been the battlefield for World War III. World War III is not the war against terror. World War III has been the mind control technologies that has been developing since 1943. Your brain has been the field where the final conflict is going to take place because its capacity for higher consciousness awareness is being intensely enhanced by the incoming codes of ascension. That which was once subtle and subliminal will become increasingly apparent to our senses, and the soul jackers know this. For example, research by Russian scientists found that with proper parallel commuting, logarithms or algorithms, you can actually plot three-dimensionally the magnetic field configuration and spatio-temporal time variation fields of the midbrain region in your head in real time. They now have a space-time holographic reference on the processes of thought. The midbrain includes the thalamus, the hypothalamus, the hippocampus, the amygdala, the pituitary, and the pineal. That part of the brain called by the ancients the cave of Brahma is actually a magnetic and acoustic resonance chamber. It is shaped like a donut inside of an egg. The midbrain, or the inner cavity of the brain, has been discovered to be a relativistic spatio-temporal cavity with enfolded hyperspatial bridges that undergoes harmonic resonances to magnetic and acoustic stimuli. What the hell is he talking about? See, they don't think you're legitimate in doing the research and breaking it down in scientific terms. So they hope to put it in this science-ese so that you don't get it. But see, each one of you all out there are code breakers, or you all wouldn't be here. And that's what we do. We break codes. What they're saying is that in the process of isness, your inner brain texturizes reality. Your inner brain forms together the inherent potential code frequencies, drawing them in through your perception and making them actual. You put the specific particle in the proper perspective to create reality. It is within your brain, within that matrix, that you transduce sound and light into the variables that you call reality. That's what they're saying in here. They're trying to make it look like it's so far away. But your ancestors have been doing this without all of this fancy words for thousands of years. In other words, your brain is a biological space-time energy transducer, and as a result, it not only operates space, but it also creates time. It is your brain that creates the was. Thus, it is your brain that can place you in the is. Therefore, space and time are actually constructs of your mind, constructs of biologically modulated frequencies and references based on a projection of our will and our intent. Get to know those two, will and intent. They have been kidnapping your awareness, snatching your attention, diverting, detouring your will and attention and your intent. And you have been using, spoon-fed by all of the articles of fear. You take it in every day, and we're going to get into that. So all of the present-day theories of physics, especially the theocratically based subcategory called quantum physics, are slowly beginning to discover that all study of physics are merely a study of ever-changing effects within a perceptual envelope of awareness governed by our own brain's activities. So Einstein telling you E equals mc squared, that's what it was for him. He quantified what he had seen. And what the Jason Society or the Illuminati has done is to channel everybody through that idiom, thus not allowing you to take the next harmonic out of here. E equals mc squared represents more of a lockdown than ever, because these fools are taking the information and they are drawing a map around that particular theory. And as they draw the map, they put the bricks in. And they're going to wall themselves up in that theorem. When your brain has not been the same 5 minutes ago. They force you into this construct, tell you your beliefs, organize your perception, focus your attention, manipulate your intent, and here we are today. All of the present-day theories, all of them are gone. Everything about your brain's ability is to modulate, fold, and quantify space and time. Creation itself is not just a byproduct of statistical analysis. This is what the white man wants you to believe. That a creator told him, and you can notice every 5 or so years, they keep reorganizing what they learn. Well, we thought 5 years ago that it was this way. Yes. Now it's this way. Yes. Well, goddammit, how did you graduate that other jackass? That other jackass who graduated saying that this was the truth is now teaching my children. Creation has intent. It has an aim, a design, has precisely formulated potentials, and is intensely deterministic. In fact, there is a way to prove this by actually broadcasting intent from one location to another through the magnetic field using an advanced scientific technique called sonochemistry and neurophysics. Now that's them playing inside of psionics and metaphysics, so they got to name it the way they want to. Now, this is just a fancy way of saying psionics. This same principle was practiced by our ancestors. A man named Wendell Hoffman was doing it for the last 30 years out in Utah. This technique has just been discovered by so-called scientists. They discovered that altered states of consciousness can be attained by using sound and light. Oh, really? They needed a scientific theory for that? But let me show you what they did. There is a technique called stereochemistry. This measures the precise molecular structure of certain alkaloids. Now, along with the molecular structure of these alkaloids, the fundamental vibrational frequency of these molecules are mapped. So what they have done is they've gone down to the molecular level. They have mapped the way the specific alkaloid or the specific molecule looks, put it up on a piece of paper, now went in and listened to the harmonic that it gives off while it is within the life stream. Listen carefully. They have mapped the tone, or one of the tones, that your body gives off through its molecules. So what they've done now is they've taken the specific molecule, put it up on a large piece of paper, or through a transparent screen. Then they have taken the sound waves that it normally generates, amplify it, shoot it through the picture, and that same picture now becomes a wave energy that affects the cells as if you took that specific alkaloid. In other words, you take an LSD molecule, put it up on a screen like this, broadcast the frequency that that LSD would give off, and everybody in here will get high. Now, for all you intrepid young scientists out there, if you could break down the molecular structure of marijuana, find out the vibrating frequencies of that molecule, and then throw a party. You see, what would happen is the residual that would cause the damage would not be there. You would simply be getting the effects without the residual damage messing up your blood crystals. Put that out there to you young scientists. You'll be rich overnight. Mm-hmm. And brothers and sisters, that same technology is the way the beasthood is recalibrating your genetics. They have discovered the tones that operate within the genetics of you and the plant life that you eat. They are modulating the tonal harmonics of the genes to fit you into their consciousness construct. The genetically altered food is a diabolical attempt to distort your own organic genetic tones. They are attempting to disrupt your tone shifter signals so that your DNA will not pick up the higher light code harmonics, which would help create the amino acid receptor sites that are on your helix. These sites are signal transducers that focus the light code information frequencies into the dynamics of spiritual evolution. In other words, they found out, brothers and sisters, they found out that when you have fear running through your body, that when you have hate, that when there is anger, frustration, jealousy, or these lower frequency energies, they have mapped how the sine wave of that particular energy would react or interact with your helix DNA. They found out that fear, once the energy or signal, what they've done is they've taken the energy pulse of fear and they have created a oscillating sine wave out of that signature, so that the signature now is a wave that has long dips and long areas between dips and valleys. So when you pump fear through the DNA helix, it touches less of the amino acid crystal sites on the DNA. But then they tested love, or the feeling of empathy, of unconditionalness. And the energy is so high and power streaks and spikes that it touched more of the sites on the DNA, which means the DNA develops, gets stronger, picks up more signals when your heart, your mind, and your soul, your body is reflective of unconditional love. And this is why they want to keep you in fear, because the light code signals that are coming into this planet at this time is forcing your love chakra to be energized more and more. So they got to counter that with the fear chakra. They got to keep you in that lockdown. By the way, the CIA and the KGB have alkaloids that they've discovered and created, and they've named them, think this out, telepathine and astraline. Need I say more? Now, brothers and sisters, we're going to talk about the technologies. Watching TV or visiting your movie theater, using computers or telephones, causing... I can't even get next to showing you how detrimental these technologies are. So I'm only going to put out what I can technologically for you. These things, TV, movies, your computers, your telephones, causes a dysfunctioning of your spatio-relative awareness. They are shapes in nature that are related to sacred geometry, which help to stimulate brain synergy and energy, and they help the triangulation of higher star grid frequencies. Sacred forms, angles, diagrams, and symbols like the Medunecha have their space-time analogs or their equals in your mind, in your spirit, in your body, and in your soul. In other words, certain sacred geometries like the triangle, the square, the circle, the rectangle, these are the way that light focuses itself within your matrix. The language of light is based upon vectors of geometry. Your body is a geometric matrix at its essential place. Your blood crystals are in pyramids. Light transports cosmic information in the forms of sacred geometry, so concentration on specific forms, archetypal forms, helps you to set the cerebral template to decode the language of light. So if you are envisioning squares, just go in your house, project a picture of a square on your wall, project a picture of a pyramid on the wall, just a simple pyramid. Doesn't have to be elaborate. A circle. These things meditate the mind because this is the way the light frequencies are trying to communicate with you. The complications of communication that we've developed called words, these things are cumbersome. They're heavy on the mouth and in the chest and on the head. They're laborious, they're labor-intensive activities. Concentrating on archetypal forms puts you right there on the dimension that that form actualizes from. The brain itself processes higher information in a hologram life energy field and forms sacred geometric magnetic field patterns depending on the nature of the light code. The ability to perceive angles allows the brain to triangulate certain light frequencies that would bypass the code containment thresholds of the frequency fence to put us in contact with higher forms of communication. Another thing, one should never smoke cigarettes, cigars, or take drugs. Never. Smoking literally destroys the thymus and pituitary glands and causes premature aging. Don't drink coffee as well. It disrupts signals by way of purines, polluting your brain neurotransmitters and transmitters. Purines are the base forms or the base materials that create uric acid. So these materials, plus other foods that we're going to discuss, get ready. Brothers and sisters, the effects on television, and computers, VDTs on your chromosomes are disastrous. The electromagnetic frequencies of VDTs interacts and interfaces with your brain function by entrainment of the 60 hertz alternative current that is used in commercial electricity. Let me say that again. The electromagnetic frequencies for VDTs interacts and interferes with brain functions by entraining you with the 60 hertz alternative current that is used in commercial activity. Well, what does that mean? It don't mean nothing to me. Yes, it does. The interface between the reticular formation of the brain and the thalamus is responsible for what is known as alpha spikes in normal brain functioning. Now listen carefully, brothers and sisters. These alpha spikes indicate that during a normal day of conscious activity, the brain energies take a dip into the alpha mode at least 30 times a minute while you are awake. This is done, and I want to put it as simply as possible so that when you go home and you start thinking about the words that I said, you start picking up some of the things that were subtly happening in your body, but you weren't paying attention to. These alpha spikes indicate that during a normal day of consciousness, the brain energy takes a dip. This has to do with your chi force, your key force, adjusting to the pulse ratio of the planetary chi. Our brain chi aligns itself with the hyperfrequencies that are emanated by the Earth's magnetic field. Even if the frequencies of the planet were blocked and the brain automatically is shut away from that energy, the brain knows what that energy is, and by its own battery will continue as long as it can, disconnected from the Earth field. This is why in sending astronauts into outer space, sometimes they bug out and forget who they are. Because since you are a child of this planet, the energy that you have been fed since childhood, the spiritual energy, the whole context of this matrix, the part of the life that you share, is connected directly to the Earth. And if you separate from her for any period of time, you start bugging out and going crazy. You start forgetting who you are. The spike happens in order to keep you connected to your intuitive and your rational brains. But when you watch TV and computer screens, the technologies of entrainment prevent the brain from taking its necessary dip and keeps our brain cycling at 50 and 60 hertz continuously. So our brains are forced to continually function on modulated bands that are artificial and can contain huge amounts of mind-controlled data. This is the way that movies and videos pulse broadcast subliminals and encoded information directly into your subconscious. George Lucas did it to you. How did he do it to you? How many saw Star Wars 2? That movie was the first movie shot entirely in digital. In the beginning, it was reported by someone that they wanted to go to the movie, but then they said, no, hell no, I'm not going. It was shot totally in digital. There's something going on, and it usually happens, most of the entrainment usually happens opening day and for about 3 or 4 days afterwards. In the movie theaters, you have a captive audience who has voluntarily submitted their beta thinking mechanism to an alpha input structure. And it is in the alpha input structure that information is entrained. Now, with a pure digital picture, how many subliminal pictures and energies were put into your mind of terror? These frequencies keep us out of sync with the planetary chi and blocks communication with the higher intelligences that assist us in interpreting the light codes. Now, I chose to focus on the television because it is the medium of consistent contact to our children. The light rays that emanate from the TV flicker erratically, causing an uneven and irregular stimulation of your retina. The choppiness of the light is a stimulus that is transferred directly to the brain by way of the optic nerve. This stimulus is turned, and it creates severe, irritative, sometimes scarring of the hypothalamus. Scientific experiments on rats exposed to color TV for 6 hours a day became hyperactive and extremely aggressive for about a week. Immediately after, they became totally lethargic and even stopped breeding completely. The scientists found that the rats' endocrine systems had been burnt out. The endocrine system, brothers and sisters, is the system that raises your kundalini. It is the system